Hello, everybody. My name is Edwin Lee,
I'm Winnie Nguyen.
and today we'll be presenting about online privacy. Why should you care?
So to introduce our topic, we'll actually start with a little story. Here we have someone named John Doe, and he owns a pretty successful company. Like a lot of people, he is a frequent social media user, and he's on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, etc. The only thing about John is that he uses the same password for every single one of these accounts. Well, what does that mean for him? Obviously, if you use the same password for everything, that makes it more convenient for you because you wouldn't have to remember a bunch of different passwords for all of your accounts. However, that makes you less secure. Let's say that there's a hacker group out there and they know that a lot of people use the same passwords for many, if not all, of their accounts. And let's say that the hacker group managed to hack John's Twitter. So now they have his credentials and more specifically, his password. Knowing that a lot of people reuse their passwords, the hacker group is going to try to gain access to John's Pinterest account. Luckily for them, but unluckily for John, the same password worked and they were able to log into his Pinterest. So now they have access to two of his social media accounts. Well, what if we told you that John Doe was actually Mark Zuckerberg and that this actually happened? Back in 2016, there's a LinkedIn data breach where more than 160 million user passwords were leaked. This also ties in with the 2012 data breach where the same thing happened. LinkedIn had told its users to change their passwords, but that was on LinkedIn itself. What if you had used the same password for another social media site? This is just one example of how personal information can be taken advantage of. And this doesn't just happen to Mark Zuckerberg or John Doe. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to you. So, this leads us into our topic today on online privacy and why it's so important to be aware of what's going on in the online world. First, we want to ask you a question. What is online privacy to you? What are the first words that come to mind when you hear about online privacy?
So, the formal definition of online privacy is the level of privacy protection an individual has while connected to the internet. So, you might think that online privacy is just keeping your browser history safe, but online privacy encompasses much more than that. Online privacy is keeping your social security number, your credit card number, your medical history, your personal information, financial transactions, and much more secure. So, what does this mean for us? It means that it is up to us to protect this information. It is valuable to us. And that prompts the questions, how much of your online information is actually private? Is anything online truly private? Should we fear for our privacy? And what should we do? So, have you ever had this experience where you talk to your friend about staple supplies, and an hour later, your Facebook starts showing you targeted Staples ads? Why does that happen? So, the answer is likely your phone listened in on your conversation with your friend and through your microphone. And now that they have that information about you, they sold it to Facebook, and now Facebook is using that ad to target you. So think about the implications beyond this. What can an attacker do if they have the information on your phone? What information is on your phone in the first place? So the apps on your phone, you've given them permission to have access to a wealth of information, such as your location, your email address, your credit card numbers, bank information, and more. So another example of the information that you've given to companies is in Google Photos. If you go to the search tab on the bottom of your Google Photos app, if you frequently take photos at, say, a beach, it will actually group those photos into a beach category. They scan your photos and they save them and they categorize them. So Your photos can also be geo-tagged as well, so they can also find out your location.
So things like personalized advertisement is very common, especially since the market value for them is so high. Location-based advertising alone is utilized by many companies. The graph on the left shows the spending on location-targeted ads, and as you can see, companies are putting a lot of money towards this type of advertisement, and it's only increasing as years go by. There are benefits to this type of advertisement. It helps market products, goods, and services that are in your area. So if you ever needed anything, then that's good for you and that's good for the company. So is it really all that bad? It depends on how you look at it. In one study on the negative effects of location based advertising, it was discovered that ad personalization can trigger feelings of vulnerability, making people more paranoid about the information that they're getting from these advertisements. This is an example of how personalized ads can make people more wary of how our devices know much more about us than we expect. There's a lot that you might have heard in the news as well on how online privacy is being violated or how our reliance on technology is being taken advantage of. In 2017, there was a lawsuit for a social media networking site as they violated the Electronic Communication Privacy Act by reading users' private messages. This means that they were intercepting private communication. And when you sign up for social media, you don't expect things like that to happen, especially without your consent. There's also a popular search engine that scanned users' emails for advertisements, again, without the users knowing and thus without their consent. But what if we put names to these? What if we said that in 2017, Facebook violated the Privacy Act and that it was Google that was scanning users' emails to send them personalized ads? The fact of the matter is that we don't know who's getting our information or what information is being collected, and we don't know how and when they're collecting it. So it's like when we use these websites or resources, we're kind of signing a contract that has a lot of fine print.
So think about it. How is your privacy being violated every day? So your information is harvested through multiple sources. So think of all the devices that you currently have: your phone, your computer, a smartwatch, your laptop. What information is being collected through those means? So your smartphone has a microphone and has a camera, both of which can be used to spy on you. Google Home, even though it might just be sitting in a corner, it's actively listening to whatever you speak and say around it. And the same with Amazon Alexa. So by using your phone to post something, you're giving your location away, and in the post itself, your caption or image might actually reveal something that you never intended to reveal, such as the location of your home or some private information. You can also use the Wayback Machine to view a post that you decided maybe I don't want on the internet anymore. But since you posted it, it's there forever and it might come back to haunt you. So the thing to take away is that smart devices listen in on your private conversations and they're used to take advantage of your privacy.
Now, for another question. Have you ever done any of the following? Have you shared your birthday online, or shared your pet's name, or shared your location? All of these can identify you in one way or another and have an influence on your privacy. If you share your birthday, that identifies you. If you share your pet's name, let's say you used it in one of your security questions when you made an account for something. If someone really wanted to, they can use information they know about you and try to get access to your accounts. If you share your location, we've talked about location based advertising earlier, and people with malicious intent can also be tracking where you are. Our privacy is not just limited by these three. Any kind of information you share online is information that can be used against you. We've heard that everything that is online stays online, and that's for the most part true. Anything you share can be saved by other people, and it can be distributed. Go, Going alongside things that we share online, you all probably heard of LinkedIn. It's an online platform where you can network with professionals and gain great connections and experiences. And LinkedIn itself can reveal a lot about someone's information. So things like your current employment, your school, things like that. Anyone who looks you up will then be able to have this information and know this information. And it's not just personal info about you that they can get. In this example, we have someone named Harrison Sanders, and Harrison has a little snippet about his experience as a cybersecurity engineer for the Tetra Cyber Company. What can you see in this snippet that can be utilized against Harrison? One of the things that Harrison puts is that he implements LastPass for the company's websites and utilizes the TrueCrypt tool to encrypt company devices. Information like this and the specific tools Harrison mentions can be used against him and his company. And let's say someone wanted to attack the Tetra Cyber Company. If they know LastPass and TrueCrypt is used, they might just be able to get into the company's system, or at the very least, know the tools used within the company.
So you may think, why should I care? I mean, I know that my information's being stolen from me without my consent every day, and there's nothing I can do about it. Well, that's not particularly true. Look at the potential dangers that are presented to you when you don't take care of your online privacy. If you post something that you're not supposed to post, now someone can use that as blackmail against you. Your financial information is at risk. You could be targeted by a phishing attempt if you decide to post your contact information and you trust whatever people send to you. You can also post your location and people can SWAT your home, which has resulted in death and injury. Posting an inappropriate comment can be used to target you for the rest of your life just because of one simple mistake. So what happened in 2017? In 2017, a man named Andrew Finch was shot to death by law enforcement after Tyler Barris swatted his home. So Barris originally meant to target someone else, but Finch had moved into that home. So Barris pretended that he was Finch and he called law enforcement saying that he was armed with hostages. And this prompted a SWAT team to search his home, investigate his home, and unfortunately, he was shot to death. So what does this say? This can happen to anyone. Keeping your address by not geotagging yourself, by not posting your home, is keeping yourself secure. So now that we know what's at stake, how can we mitigate these risks? So here are some steps. Don't reuse your password. So for every account that you create online, use a different secure 14 plus characters and special characters password. Do not connect over public Wi-Fi. Connecting over public Wi-Fi means that anybody that's connected to that network can listen in on whatever you're doing. So if you make a financial transaction over public Wi-Fi, they can collect that information. Think before sending or posting anything. Just as previously mentioned, if you post something that you weren't meant to post, that can be screenshotted, that can be retrieved. It's online forever, and you don't know what people are going to do with that information. Omit as much personally identifying information as possible. You don't want people to know your credit card number. You don't want people to know anything more than they have to know about you. Utilizing a VPN, a virtual private network, to hide your traffic and route it through somewhere else is also a good option to maintain your online privacy. Deleting apps that you do not use regularly is also a big way to mitigate these risks. Because think about it, You downloaded an app and you gave it permissions so that you could install it, but you don't know what it's doing in the background. It could be collecting information. Maybe you used it once. What is the use of keeping it anymore? It could be in the background collecting information about you and you'd never know it because you just neglected to delete it. So it's time to delete apps that you do not use regularly. So here are some more tips that you can use to mitigate risks of online privacy. You can request to actually blur your home on Google Street View. If you don't want people searching up your home, then go to Google Maps, type in your address, click report a problem, center the red box on your home, and provide a reason for blurring it, such as you don't want to have people know where you live or what your home actually looks like. Also, you can set your history to be automatically deleted when you're not browsing. So you can head to your Google account, activity control, manage activity, and under web and app activity, choose to delete automatically. Enabling multi-factor authentication when available for any of your applications, such as your bank information, your bank account. Those are services that are provided to you, and those are services that you must use in order to maintain your online privacy. So some examples are Google Authenticator and Duo Mobile.
So here is what we want you to take away from our presentation. Online privacy risks are there and they are real, and only you can protect your own privacy. We've talked about what happens if you use the same password for multiple accounts or if you use smart devices. This isn't to say that you're not allowed to do this. You can do whatever you want with your information, but it's important to be aware of how your information is being used, especially if we're talking about it being online, because the online domain is scary and we can't keep track of everything going on. With that said, it's also important to be mindful of what you're posting online. As you know, even if you delete a picture from your Facebook, that picture is still roaming around somewhere on the internet. So think first about what you're posting because there's a chance that it will stay online permanently. And obviously, the more people that are cyber aware, the less we have to worry about our friends or loved ones and their private information being made public. So tell your friends about what you learned.
Thank you so much for attending our presentation on online privacy and why you should care.